Well, good morning and welcome to Zen Fits. I hope you find a Zen fit today. Uh, I watched the original Catch22 the other night. I've been writing on it. It's been going off in me like a coffee percolator, getting new cups of fresh insight. And so today I started off today writing about the Catch-22 of the GOP, which includes Trump. And if you remember the Catch-22 movie, there were two of them. So I'm talking about, I went back and saw the original. And Catch-22 is a double bind. Catch-22 is a situation in which you have to do that no matter what you do, you lose. But let's look at it this way. The GOP, for the last 50 years, created a Catch-22 for itself. Now, what the Catch-22 says is that, for instance, with the GOP, that in order to get power, let's see, how do I start with this? Okay, well, first of all, let's say that the GOP created the Catch-22 by presenting itself, selling itself as the moral party, as the patriotic party, as the American party, as the family value party, as the God party, as the Christian party. So this is an absolute category. So what happened was that when you make one party absolutely good, the other party must be absolutely bad. So now you have a good and evil cosmic war of light and darkness going on that has been manifested or in a political combat, which is essentially a game. So politicians argue, well, before the movement conservatism, after the day's political battles, we go to the bar and have a drink. But not now. See, now it's a religious war, at least for one side. So how does this create the Catch-22? Well, if compromise is the way democracy works, and you position yourself as being morally good, and the other side is being morally bad, you can't compromise with evil. So the Catch-22 is, in order to win, you have to lose. In order to gain power for your party, you have to make democracy dysfunctional. In order to, you see the Catch-22? In order to win, you have to lose. In order to make your party win, you have to make America lose. In other words, democracy can't work. So you get this Catch-22. So the more you struggle to win, the more you lose. So it's insanity. It's insanity. This was the whole point of the Catch-22 movie. This island, where they had bombers stationed in World War II, was a metaphor for an insane world. Us. When you get caught in the Catch-22, you are essentially insane. But it looks from the inside to be sane. And the people on the outside of the island, people on the outside of the insanity, say you're insane. But you say, well, I know I'm sane because you're insane. You're the one that's insane, so I must be sane if you tell me I'm insane, you see. That's insanity. That's Catch-22. So how does Trump fit in this? So along comes Trump. Now the Catch-22 must keep accelerating. It must keep getting more and more absurd, because there's no restraint on it. When you stick a microphone in an amplifier, It goes wow, 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 wow. It keeps increasing. Wow, 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 wow. So the struggle to get out of the insanity of the Catch-22 increases the Catch-22. So it's like we're running from it. I mean, I'm getting more insane as I struggle to get out of the insanity. Can you see that? How it's an expanding insanity. An expanding insanity. As we try to get out of the straitjacket, we become more tightly bound in the straitjacket. And we can't see it, you see. We can't see it because we're insane. So along comes Trump as the answer to this dilemma of the double bind, of the Catch-22. So how is Trump the answer? You know, this talk started out this morning because I was responding to one article, and there are a lot of posts, you know, about evangelicals loving Trump, who is the Antichrist. Who, in other words, they love the guy who is the exact opposite of all of the values they honor. He's the exact opposite. How is this possible? Catch-22. So why is Trump the answer, you see? Because Trump embraces the Catch-22 he embraces sin, he embraces lying without guilt. He embraces, no, if he felt guilt or shame, he couldn't play. But he embodies the Catch-22 because he willingly creates it. He embodies, in other words, this whole thing about the president and the law. You know, so is the president above? And Nixon started, well, the president can't break the law because he is the law. The president can't break the law because he fulfills the law. So this is a Christ model. Jesus comes to fulfill the law. Jesus can't sin. So he is above sin, you see. So Trump is above sin because Trump is above the law, because as president he is the law. Therefore he cannot break himself, the law, and therefore the president cannot sin. So that's the Catch-22. So he can blatantly sin or break the law. He can right up in front, you know, right, and do it right in front of us and contradict himself. Break the law right in front of us, you see. And he has no guilt because I'm not breaking the law, you see. So that is the insanity of giving the Catch-22 flesh and blood. And so in an insane way, it liberates the people caught in the Catch-22 from the Catch-22. So the more absurd Trump gets, the more relieved they are from the tension of the Catch-22. So Trump has to get more and more absurd, more and more insane, to keep the Catch-22 from collapsing in upon itself. You see, that expanding Catch-22, that expanding insanity is always running from saturation point. There's a point in insanity in our own lives too, when we're caught in a double bind, or we're caught in a insane behavior, or we're caught in some kind of ritual or pattern or habit or something that is insane, dysfunctional. It keeps expanding and getting more absurd. So people in the families, you know, watch this behavior, this drama. We saw it all the time. You come into a family and suddenly something triggers some behavior and they're totally insane. And if you try and break it up, intervene, they turn on you. So this when you're caught in the Catch-22, people will keep expanding the insanity, trying to get out of it, you see. So we're caught in that too. So Trump expands. He has to keep being more and more crazy in order to keep running from the collapse of it, because it cannot be sustained. It's out of sync with reality. So at some point in our lives, either collectively or individually, you see, the absurdity has to, there is a turning point. There is a point where the insanity can no longer be sustained. It's just stretched to the breaking point. The conditions cannot hold it, you see. And we seem to be approaching that. Now, it's kind of like a gamble. Will Trump implode, the whole thing collapse before 2020, or do we get to 2020 and just vote him out, you see? So it's kind of like a gamble right now. Which one comes first? The collapse of the Catch-22 or the 2020? And I find it very fascinating, as we conclude here, is that Catch-22 is like Catch-22. Now, what does that mean? Are you supposed to catch the 22? Or are you supposed to, I get it. You see, there's two meanings here. Catch something is you run at, catch it, catch the fly, catch the ball, catch the 22, grab it. Catch-22 also means, do you get it? Do you catch it? You see, do you get it? Do you see it? Do you see the Catch-22? You see, the Catch-22 is when you see that your assumption of what real was totally insane. Catch-22 means when you catch it is that you see either personally or collectively that your assumptions that this was a sane situation were totally wrong and you were absolutely insane. And that's the turning point. Snap. The whole thing drops. And that's Zen. The snapping point where the Catch-22 just, you see. So what's interesting about 2020 and Catch-22 is, I really believe, that 2020 is the end of the 50-year Catch-22 that we've been caught in. This 50-year movie of dysfunctional insanity. So that, how do you get out of the Catch-22? How do you get out of the Catch-22? Well, you add a zero to it. 2020 is Catch-22 with a zero added. And a zero is ground zero. A zero is the end of the Catch-22. See, the Catch-22, look at it mathematically. You got a zero when you got positive numbers, like positive 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you got negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So reality is ground zero. Nature is ground zero. The cosmos is some zero. But if I add 5 numbers to restore balance, if I believe I'm out of balance, I'm off zero, so you're 5 points off zero. Okay, you add 5 things. Nature will add negatives, 5 numbers, you see? So if you add 5, nature will restore balance and add 5 negatives. So you're always at zero. So the way out of the Catch-22, where you keep adding weight in order to bring the scales back to zero, but when you add weight, nature, the cosmos, adds an equal amount of negative weight to keep the scales thing. So God or nature is kind of like saying, what the fuck? You keep adding, everything is zero right now, but you keep adding weight. So I've got to keep adding negatives on opposite. I've got to keep adding opposites to balance the scales, you idiot. Stop adding weight. Oh no, we added 10 more pounds. Now I got to put 10 pounds on the other side. So you get this Catch-22 thing going where you keep adding weight to restore justice, and the universe keeps adding the same amount of weight to bring it back to zero because you just brought it out of whack, you see. Isn't that interesting? So Zen is zero. If you look at the sign for Zen, it's a zero. So Zen is adding zero. And to stop adding weight, trying to bring the scale back to zero by adding something or taking it away. You see, because if you take away, the universe is going to add something to equal what you took away. So the universe, and this is Avatar, we'll close with that. In Avatar, the great phrase that I love was that the mother comes to restore balance. The mother comes, nature comes, God comes, the universe comes to restore zero and bring this insanity back to ground zero, back to balance, back to here, back to the now, back to reality, back to function. You know. That's my Zen fit for the day. So I hope you have one too. Drop in tomorrow. Thank you.